Do you think that life in many ways has gotten tougher for women?
I think obviously when they decided that they should go out and see, who am I? Am I something thrilling? Am I fascinating? Now, I thought I was fascinating. So I thought, I'm not going to get involved in all that husband and kid business. I married a nice man, tortured him, used up all his money, drove his automobile, and said goodbye, and he was an angel. Now, I knew it, and I tried to make up, he's now dead, to him for the enormous generosity of his spirit. And I certainly realized that I was a total pig. Now, that's not good, is it, to be a pig?
Well, the problem is that most women have to work now. I mean, if you have an economy...
No, they fixed it so that they have to work, so that they have to have 2 cars, so that they have to have an elaborate house, so they have to be able to do this, that, and the other thing, and have 25 television sets. They've done that.
Ever feel guilty for having to walk away from the good guy just because he's a good guy, just because he's a gentleman, just because he treats you well, just because he's generous, just because he's successful and he's nice and all of those things? That's not a reason alone to choose him. He could be a good guy, but that doesn't mean that he is good enough for you. That doesn't mean that he is right for you, and you should not have to compromise on your standards or your non-negotiables because he's a good guy. Men should already be good men. They should already have character traits that are suitable for your relationship. They should already be chivalrous. They should already be generous. They should already have success in their life. They should already have these characteristics as a decent human being. That is not a reason to choose him. And we really need to stop putting these men on a pedestal because they're nice, because they're good men, because they're generous. Like, they should already be that way.
I fumbled the man I probably should have married, and I'm making this post so that y'all don't do the same thing that I did. This is an accountability post. I met him on Hinge, and this was back when the algorithm was working a lot better, and it was like 2022, I believe. I didn't like his profile. I just knew he was gonna like me, and the next day he did. Normally I name names, but just in case he has a new girl and they're at peace, I don't want to disrupt his situation, so I'm not gonna name his name. But anyway, we met up quickly, we went on a date, and we ended up being like glued to each other pretty fast. We were like in a relationship within like a month, I believe. He locked it down. He was not trying to see me single. This man was fine. He was like 6'3", buff, long hair. He looked like Roman Reigns. Society would easily give him a 9, easily. And if you know me, you know who I'm talking about. But frankly, his looks were pretty irrelevant, honestly. He actually was very kind, very sweet, very empathetic, very emotional, very in tune with his emotions, but also quite emotional. And, you know, he just had a lot of very positive traits. The number one being, he did not play about me at all. We went to brunch with his brother and sister-in-law, and they were kind of cold, like not really like, I don't know, warming up to me. And he called that out immediately. He was like, absolutely not. When his brother was not trying to get to know me after like we had met, he was like, can you put more effort in with Britt? Like, that's my girl. Like, put some respect on Britt's name. Like, he did not play about me at all. I had never in my life dated a man like that. I had never dated a man who was on my side. Like, who?
That's the worst thing you could ever hear. I've never dated a man like that. If you're a good man and you've dealt with situations like this, the worst thing you can hear from a woman is that you're a good man, but I've never dated a man like that. That's almost worse than hearing that you're a bad man.
Like, I don't know, defended me. I've never had that before. He also impressed my parents. My mom liked him a lot. She said I broke his heart, and honestly, I agree. But yes, my parents liked him a lot. So we dated for like 6 months, and I kept feeling
you broke your own heart. Any dude that's a good person like that is always going to land on their feet. 6'3", good-looking dude, and he's a respectable gentleman. Yeah, he's going to land on his feet. You broke yourself.
It was just missing throughout the relationship. Like, something just felt like it was missing. And I would communicate that to him, like, oh, I like you a lot. I love you, but, like, something's just missing. And I didn't know what it was, and this poor guy was just doing his best to try to figure out what was missing, like trying to make adjustments, but like he just couldn't figure it out, and neither could I.
Well, he was too peaceful. People who are used to chaotic relationships don't understand that good relationships are about peace. Some people just look for chaos. And if you're a man and you're dealing with a woman that looks for chaos, you have to be very careful, because any respectable relationship is peaceful. That's the best relationship in my opinion, but because people are used to the high highs and the low lows, they're used to the emotional roller coaster. If you're in a good relationship, it's not supposed to be up, down, up, down, up, down. It's supposed to be a consistent line. That's what a good relationship looks like. But some people are addicted to chaos, and so they look for it or they create it in their own lives. And the issue with dudes who are good dudes oftentimes is when you're a good dude, women know that you're a good dude and they feel bad that they don't want to be with a good dude. So what they'll do is they'll sabotage the relationship by treating you horribly until you do something and give them a reason to leave. That's what I see a lot of women do to dudes who are good dudes.
Because I didn't have the self-awareness that I have now. What was missing was chaos. No matter
Yep,
how many
there you
adjustments
go.
he was willing to make,
Yep.
he couldn't adjust himself to become a chaotic, toxic man when he just wasn't that. And that's all I had ever been used to. You see, I had not taken the time to like truly heal myself after my relationship prior to him, which was with an abusive guy. Very abusive, emotionally avoidant guy. Emotionally unavailable, everything. Okay, I had not healed from that. Not enough to be with a person who was safe. And so one day when he pissed me off, I broke up with him like on a whim. Because the majority of my prior relationships
See, there it is. She broke up with him on a whim. That's exactly what I was talking about.
were with like antagonistic men, I was not ready to receive someone who was safe and loving and kind and caring. Maybe I didn't think I deserved it. Maybe I couldn't recognize what it was. My nervous system didn't know what to do with safe. My parents were kind of emotionally unavailable. Growing up in that dynamic, you kind of look for that in partners as well. So I ended up with emotionally unavailable men back to back to back. That brings me to my next point. For a while, what I felt like the relationship was lacking was him being a true leader. He would defer to me to make a lot of decisions because he felt like I was more intelligent than him. He would want me to like plan stuff. He would want me to just like make a lot of choices that I felt like the man should make. And I just didn't want to do that. I wanted like a leader in the way that I saw leader, how I viewed it. But like,
And every leader you picked was horrible, and you didn't decipher that when you were saying that this man was a bad leader? You didn't realize that every guy you considered to be a leader was a horrible leader and as you say, abusive. And I'm telling you right now, this is the issue. There are a lot of people that consider good relationships to be boring, and it's because they're not actually looking for love. They're looking for excitement. Like, I'm from a small town of like 30,000 people, and we would always have people come from Chicago, like an actual big city where there's a lot of crime, and they would come to this town and it would be peaceful. They would have no issues, but they'll still be trying to gangbang. I'm like, bro, you don't need to gangbang here. There ain't no other gangbangers. But because they're used to the chaos, they're used to the loud noises, the cars, the violence, the everything going on, they end up going back. Oftentimes they couldn't deal with the peace. They would consider it to be boring, and they would end up going back to their hometown or going back to Chicago. There was one kid that I remember who used to be a really good kid, man, and he wanted to go back to Chicago because he thought that where we live was too boring, aka peaceful. I told him not to do it. He ended up going back, and literally after a couple of months he got shot and killed in a situation. So he created that chaos in his life because that's what he looked for, because he was so used to chaos that he started to consider peace to be boring. And I mean, that's just, it depends on what you're looking for. Some people are not looking for love. They're looking for excitement, and that's an issue.
knowing that he has weaknesses and that I have strengths, and then deferring to me where he's weak and letting him take the reins where he's strong is leadership. Like, okay, he could lead when it comes to protecting and providing and whatever, but he may have needed help with planning and stuff that he's not so good at. But I just couldn't see that at the time because I was dumb. I thought I needed 10 out of 10 boxes checked. But relationships are not found, they are built. Soulmates are built.
Yeah.
Boxes can be built. If the person is at 7 or 8 and the last 2 need some work, you can meet them halfway. They can meet you halfway. Adjustments can be made. You don't have to break up. So
well, also, too, they seem like they came from two different cultural backgrounds. So she showed a picture of him, and they're probably from two different cultures. So he wants to know what she's actually interested in and what she likes. And especially because it's early on in the relationship, he wants to get to know her by knowing what she likes. After he gets to know what she likes, maybe he can start to plan, but she didn't even get a man a chance. She created chaos. She found an excuse to leave him.
though he had 8 of my 10 boxes, I was still too traumatized to accept him. I couldn't regulate my own nervous system fully yet. I had gotten to that point at 25 and met a very abusive man at 26, and I lost all my progress. So I still needed chaos, and I ruined it.
Yep.
The next guy I dated after that ended up being another avoidant who was emotionally unavailable and ended up breaking my heart worse than anybody else I'd ever experienced in my entire life. So I got my karma pretty fast, I guess. Let this be a lesson. If you've met someone who's good, they protect you well, they show up, they love you, but you feel like something's missing or something feels off or whatever the case may be, or it feels boring, make sure that something is not just the trauma that you're used to. Make sure that, you have healed enough to even receive what they're offering you. You don't need a perfect man. You just need a man that checks enough boxes that you can work with the rest. Anyway, that angel wasn't even on social media like that, so he'll probably never see this, but still, if you do see this, I hope you're doing great.
So I just watched a video where a woman says that she left the man that she loved for the man that she deserves. And I just want to say, I find it very interesting that all these women are out here leaving what they describe as a good man, a loyal man, a faithful man, a man who has been good to them, who loves them, because they say he doesn't make enough. It all comes down to money. We know that because when you start talking about what it is that you deserve, you're not talking about a better man. You're talking about a man who has more money, a man who can provide the quote unquote lifestyle that you feel you and your future, not even existing, future children deserve. I find it very interesting, and I'm highlighting and focusing on some words here because I want you guys to understand that when you spend time with someone, when you spend years with someone who believes that they are pouring into you and that they are being poured into, who believes that they are growing with someone. This woman said she was with this person for 10 years and decided to leave him. I find it so interesting, and I want you to understand that when you find that man you believe you deserve, and he turns around and he does the same thing to you, it will be what you deserve. When he leaves you high and dry, because it was never about love, and instead it was about the tangible things, and when you no longer look how you look, and when you no longer behave how you did pre-children, and he leaves you because there was no feeling or emotion, no commitment to you, there was just a transaction, that will be what you deserve.
I mean, W accountability. At least she has the self-awareness to realize that she was the common denominator in all of her bad relationships. And to be honest, this is like a breath of fresh air when you get used to seeing so many TikToks of women say, don't feel bad about leaving the good man. He's missing something, and that's okay. Go find yourself, or whatever they like to say nowadays. This is a breath of fresh air to have a woman telling other women that if you find a good man that brings you peace, that's not a boring relationship. That's what a relationship is supposed to actually be. So, you know, W accountability, and this is the type of growth in a person that allows them to potentially find a good relationship in the future. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or L, and give me the HBO special. That's a help brother out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.